What is going on, YouTube? It has been a crazy past few years for physical media, and today another blow was dealt to it as Game Informer has been officially announced that it will be closing. As some of you are familiar, the magazine, the video game magazine itself, was kind of one of the pinnacles of gaming magazine itself, besides like Nintendo Power and stuff. And it's really sad to see. So we're gonna pull up an article, look into it a little bit more. I'm gonna personally tell you about some memories with this magazine, and it's really sad once again for physical media fans. All right, so we have the article that I found the other day up here. Special shout out to a few of my friends on YouTube themselves for reaching out to me and kind of telling me about this. But Game Informer magazine is shutting down after 33 years. Its parent company GameStop pulled the plug today. Now, this was announced on Friday, August 2nd. Like I said, if you guys are not familiar, this was a magazine that was very good in my opinion. When GameStop was at the height of the golden era, if you signed up for their what's I think called the Power membership or whatever now, Power Play. When you signed up for that, not only did you get discounts on video games, but you also got a subscription to the magazine, which a lot of us kids, I mean, when I was younger, looked forward to every month because it gave you information on the upcoming games, reviews, and all that kind of information. Let's see here. So, yep, another giant name in the gaming press is shutting down its operations. Game Informer announced today that it's been shut down by its parent company, GameStop, after 33 years in the business. The entire website and its archives have been removed and now direct to the magazine's final statement of thanks to the readers. After 33 thrilling years of bringing you the latest news, reviews, and insights from the ever-evolving world of gaming, it is with a heavy heart that we announce the closure of the Game Informer. The publication's statement reads. So, this is pretty sad. And I mean, we've talked a lot about physical media disappearing over the last year or so, with video games, movies, music, and stuff like that. And then this is another thing that we are all missing out on, that we don't see happening until it's too late, like this. I don't know. In the last video, I discussed with a few people that it seems like one of the only things that's kind of making a comeback for physical media itself is books. But magazines and stuff like that are actually going out the door. I know here in town, our newspaper itself has announced that, it's kind of struggling. So, yeah, this is just something that's kind of the nature of the beast right now for everything disappearing. It goes on to say that, several social media posts confirm the sad news about the state of the magazine and the staff. Lead video producer Alex here posted on X that the staff didn't even know what was happening until there was a tweet from someone higher up posting, spilling the news. So that right there is, I hate about so much when companies close down. They never inform their employees of what's happening until it's too late, and then a lot of them are left just kind of in the crap of it. It's not good at all. Game Informer's content director Kyle says on X that the bad news about the mass staff layoffs landed right when they were in the middle of creating a new issue. So how would you like that, guys? You're in the middle of doing some work. A couple bosses come in, call you each in one at a time, and let you know that, hey, you're done. A frustrating turn of events, especially considering we were about 70% done with the next issue and it was going to have a great cover. The magazine launched in August of 1991 under the FuncoLand Game Store brand, with Sonic the Hedgehog sprinting across its cover. The cover headlines promised sizzling hot pre-release reviews inside on games like Decap Attack, Micro Machines, and NHL Hockey. GameStop acquired the FuncoLand brand in 2000, and the gaming magazine Game Informer amassed a peak readership of 6 million, according to its official website. Wow. So, Growing up, besides Game Informer, well, before I was introduced to Game Informer, because we didn't really have a Funko Land around here, we had a store called Software Etc., which I think was part of the brand and later was bought by GameStop. Uh, we had, the magazines like GameStop, or not GameStop, GamePro, and then and then just PlayStation, Electronic Gaming Monthly was another one that I loved as a kid. Now I remember when I had went to Software Etc. before it became GameStop and stuff like that, I traded a bunch of games in and everything like that. Well, that's what made me keep coming back to the store itself, besides the games, obviously. But I remember when I had, traded in at the time, probably about $150 worth of credit to the store, which was an insane amount of video games, stacks of PS1 games. And they asked if I'd like to sign up for the membership. I get a free monthly magazine. I also, on top of that, get deals on games and stuff like that. So, of course, I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, I'll do that. So, I remember signing up for the magazine and everything and getting it every month. And it was a good magazine. I mean, obviously, at the time, anything video game related, I absolutely loved. But to me, it was a good magazine, especially when, we didn't have much money. I've talked about this in the past, when growing up, when we didn't have much money, it was you rented games or you just, obviously played the games you had until they were not working anymore because you played them so much. Or, you borrowed the games from your friends. Otherwise, the only way to know how good a game was pre-internet era was magazines and word of mouth. So when you got your magazines, you would look through there, you'd study everything about these video games, just make sure that this purchase you're going to do next was going to be the right one. And I just remember that, especially, I'm trying to remember the biggest one I remember is when they had like a Vice City, uh, like leading up to, after Grand Theft Auto 3, everything about, Grand Theft Auto really took off. Became the biggest name in video gaming. And I remember when they started announcing stuff for Vice City, basically the 80s Miami Vice style Grand Theft Auto. I remember like the one specific article telling us that we'd be able to fly helicopters on planes and stuff like that. I don't think it was actual planes. I think it was just helicopters, but I remember being blown away by this and just studying everything about that image, reading the article over and over again. And I remember at one point, when we didn't have enough money or I didn't trade enough stuff in to get the magazine, you could go to your local library and everything like that. And I remember our school library had Game Informer. So a lot of us, boys would rush into there during study hall or whatever to read up on what was coming up, and it was just a different era. It's just, like now if my son wants to know how good a game's going to be, all he has to do is get on YouTube, and search for it and find a reputable YouTube source and watch the videos and decide from then on if that's what he wanted to get. Before, we only had pictures in a magazine. Like I said, word of mouth. I remember growing up so much. Uh, when growing up, that a lot of times you didn't know how good a game was unless your buddies got it first. And these magazines were excellent for that. I know obviously some of them were sponsored or paid for the reviews. I'm talking about UIGN nowadays, giving Resident Evil TV show like a 9. Oh, that's a different video someday about how some of these bigger things are just getting paid to get good reviews. But I just remember, that it was a very good magazine. It wasn't obviously as good as like official PlayStation and Xbox and stuff because a lot of times they came with demo discs. But for an overall talking about every console and stuff like that, it was a very good magazine, and it's going to be missed. I obviously have been a subscriber for many years now. I have actually not been a very good supporter of GameStop for the last few years, but as a kid, it was a it was one of my favorite places to go before, you know, I discovered other video game stores and online shopping became a big thing. GameStop was one of my favorite stores to go to, and I will admit that. And then, like I said, over the years, though, it's kind of gone downhill for me personally, and I think this is just another one of the things that's going to be showcasing. You know, I predicted that I believe one of these, you know, it won't be long, and we'll get the announcement that GameStop's going to close down some more stores. And then sooner or later, I believe that GameStop itself will close off and either just become an online retailer selling games, or they will switch things up and focus mainly on collectibles, Funkos, or something like that. So that being said, guys, you know, it was great. It was great times, Game Informer, and it's sad to see you go. But the reason that you probably are disappearing is people like me stopped supporting you over the years, and it's the coming of times for physical media. So what I would like from you guys is to comment down below any memories that you have with Game Informer, whether or not you liked it or not, or, you know, did you not like it, or do you not even know what I'm talking about? And then what your views on this are. Do you think that it's being closed off because of physical media issues, or do you believe that, you know, it's just GameStop themselves slowly starting to get rid of all their side projects because sooner or later they might be closing? But thank you all for watching. As always, stay retro, my friends, and we will see you in the next video.
Super Retro Force.